The governor orders new restrictions at the border to respond to an expected surge of migrants.
This is going to dramatically slow traffic from Mexico into Texas.
What's behind the orders and the burden for businesses already facing supply chain problems? State lawmakers question the cost and effectiveness of Operation Lone Star.
I'm sorry, but from everything I know and I see in my experience in the military, you're really not making good use of your troops.
The changes that could be coming as the state weighs how much to keep spending on the border mission. The lieutenant governor wants a Texas version of Florida's parental rights law. Critics call it the Don't Say Gay bill.
It's having a chilling effect on speech in classrooms about LGBTQ people.
What it could mean for children in our state even before anything passes.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. Governor Greg Abbott made headlines when he said the state will provide charter buses to take migrants from Texas to Washington, D.C. It's an apparent dig at President Joe Biden and Congress in response to recent news that the administration will end Title 42. That's a policy that allows the U.S. to expel migrants, including asylum seekers, to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Title 42 has been in place since March of 2020. Lifting the policy could fuel a new surge of migrants crossing into Texas. That worries people involved in the immigration court system, which already faces a backlog in asylum cases. Monica Madden looks closer at the order and the response along the border.
Governor Greg Abbott is taking a new approach to handle the surge of migrants crossing the border illegally.
As opposed to busing these people to San Antonio, let's continue the ride all the way to Washington, D.C.
From Weslaco Wednesday, Abbott announced Texas will start sending migrants all the way to the nation's capital on charter buses. But his office clarified the busing is only for migrants who volunteer for the trip. Texas DPS will also ramp up safety inspections to check if commercial trucks are smuggling migrants or drugs. It's all in anticipation of an influx of immigrants crossing once Title 42 expires at the end of May.
Will represent a major change in the way that the border has been enforced.
Immigration expert Doris Meissner says, more consequentially, the backlog of asylum cases will also surge.
It can take years, an average 4 or 5 years for a claim to be heard. That is a dysfunctional system.
More judges and other ways to speed up that process is something Democrats have been pushing for too.
We're doing this wrong, and this is why I want to see more judges at the border.
You, of course, have to have resources at the border, but you also need to have a functioning asylum decision system that recognizes that some of these people, in fact, are eligible.
Monica Madden for State of Texas.
Some Texas businesses are bracing for the effect of Governor Abbott's order to inspect more vehicles crossing the border. As Jala, Washington reports, it's adding strain to a supply chain that experts say is still recovering from the pandemic.
Inside of Sazon, a Mexican restaurant in Central Texas, some essential produce like these limes, avocados,
these are good,
and their tequila comes from Mexico.
As a small business owner, one of the things we'd like to do is stock up.
Margarito Arnada, Sazon's general manager, says that's not always possible. Still somewhat feeling the impact of shortages on these goods caused by the pandemic. Now he wonders if they'll have to make adjustments again after Abbott's new directive.
A zero-tolerance policy for unsafe vehicles for smuggling migrants across the border is being implemented immediately. This is going to dramatically slow traffic from Mexico into Texas.
Increasing vehicle inspections is just one step Abbott says the state will be taking to secure the border.
With all the supply chain challenges that companies are facing right now, there will be an effect.
Daniel Taylor is a professor of supply chain management. He says the stalled traffic at the border will likely impact produce supply the most.
Those would be the first ones to be noticed, right? That they go pretty well directly from the border to the grocery stores. Those effects could be felt in as soon as a week.
Mexico is Texas's biggest trading partner, so Arnada prepares himself for what could affect his business.
The price goes up and the quality goes down.
Jala, Washington, State of Texas.
Governor Abbott also expanded the mission of the National Guard troops deployed to boost border security. It comes after state lawmakers questioned the Texas Military Department about Operation Lone Star. Maggie Glenn outlines the concerns and the response to reports of pay problems and poor living conditions for the troops.
Our pay accuracy rate has improved to 99.4%.
Pay issues were just part of the frustrations caused by the rapid deployment of 10,000 troops for Operation Lone Star.
Pay and living conditions. And so those have subsided significantly.
Soldiers were living in sleep trailers typically used for shorter missions like hurricane response, with 18 to 36 beds in each. Now they're switching to 4-person dorm-style quarters.
So of the 6 base camps, 2 of them are 100% complete. 2 of them are anywhere between 70 to 90% complete, and 2 are yet to be started.
TMD officials also stated on the record Tuesday the length of the tour of duty is 1 year. That's something guardsmen wish they had been told from the start. This guardsman spoke with KXAN on the condition we conceal his identity.
In the very beginning, people were saying anything from like 120 days, 180 days. My civilian job, every month or so, my boss, she'd email me and be like, hey, do you know any more details? And I'm like, I wish I did, sorry.
Lawmakers Tuesday weighing whether to keep all 10,000 troops at the border, as current funding is set to expire May 1st.
I think you have too many men and women, too many troops down there.
TMD says it's working to keep future tours more rotational, meaning shorter stints, and cut down on total boots on the ground.
We've talked about using boats up along the river, which a boat crew moving up and down the river could take the place of many soldiers or airmen or state guards personnel on security points.
Maggie Glenn for State of Texas.
The new head of the Texas Military Department asked lawmakers to fully fund its college benefits program for troops. Last year, the governor asked all state agencies to slash budgets by 5% due to economic woes caused by the pandemic. For TMD, that included cutting tuition assistance for guardsmen in half.
She's a great mother. She's not a perfect mother. We all have imperfections.
New evidence in the case of a Texas woman on death row. What Melissa Lucio's attorney says they found that justifies a retrial, and what Governor Abbott says about granting that request. A controversial Florida law that pumps up parents' rights could soon be copied in Texas. The Texas politician trying to make it happen in 2023. And a state senator ends her re-election bid for reasons she says are beyond her power. How changes made at the Capitol may have cost her the seat.